Chapter 4, The Yesteryears. As Michael kept on trotting through on these neon, shining, streaming, shimmery streets, he watched like a spectator people every walks of life passing by. There were some drunken hobos looking straight out of some dirty soup kitchen, all huddled together, trying hard to keep warm in a cold-looking alley. Pushers, pimps, and guidos strutting around while licking their lips, strutting around while twisting their hips, strutting around like peacocks with leather pants so tight it made Michael wonder. There were also a couple of creep shows here and there, some in trench coats, giving anyone and everyone the crazy-eyed look of a man that might have died 40 years, and what you were now witnessing was their ghost. And finally, there were the women. Oh, the women. High heels, studded up, nylon fashion, Amazonian women of the 80s, living large and in charge in a 36-inch frame. If it wasn't for bitchin' out mamas like these, the city would have eaten itself alive a long time ago, thought Michael, taking them all in, with yellow eyes behind some green brush in the darkness. So many gazelles out tonight, so many. But if they only knew what was also out and about in the brush on the hunt down after them. Snickered Michael, feeling fully and completely comfortable with that side of himself, the darker side that most of the guys wouldn't dare to let out. What? I told you I'm a tiger. I've already revealed that to you. Revealed to you all my stripes. So what are you all stressing about now? So many fine-looking women, so many, and lo and behold, there, on the corner, Michael now saw their queen. Would you look at that? Biggest hair, smallest waist, longest legs, shortest skirt. Just out walking her, lying on the leash. Yeah, just out walking her. Wait, the fuck did I just see? Looking back, Michael gawked at her again, her and her lion, an actual fucking lion on a leash. The hot mama then turned around to eyed Michael, and Michael then got intimidated seeing how she was walking a bigger cat around than he was himself. Michael got scared, then mad, and then thought, oh, whatever. The thighs are too narrow anyways. After some time then, some more time spent taking all this in, all these wild and brightly animated people of the night, Michael then grew amused at how pompous and lively and vain they all seemed, which also began to fill him up with a stir of contempt, for these all seemed so centered on themselves, full of themselves, and nothing but themselves. They were really just a bunch of assholes, really, thought Michael as he felt a change of heart. They probably wouldn't give two shits about you if they were sick with diarrhea, thought Michael again. Well, it doesn't matter now. Michael then began to think about the past and wondered how people used to seem different. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Now it looks like they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in... Wait, what song is that? Oh, Beatles. Years ago, people didn't seem also obsessed with the bloated pride and misery which they called their lives. People seemed much more genuine then, before all this me generation, which Michael began to see in the 70s, in his teens. But back before, there was a different time, in the 60s, that Michael remembered. Back when there were still people around that would go out of their way to greet you when you passed them by. They'd say hello, making you feel good, and you look forward to seeing them again the following day. Of course, for Michael, that Avalon was Coney Island, and it was a smaller neighborhood where everyone knew his name. Back starting in the late 60s as kids, Michael used to run in a gang, not doing nothing much that would be meaning getting someone killed, mind you. Nothing too serious. But it was a simpler time when any beast between one and another hombre was handled mano a mano and no other ways else, no guns, although there were a lot of knives and crowbars and chains. And one of my buds used to fancy swinging a TV from the cord. But still, no guns. Those were the rules. And to break that one rule especially would brand you and your crew as a bunch of wimps with no principles, no balls to handle things like men. If you pulled a gun on anyone, you'd be branded by the entire city as such, as you and you ladies were ran out of town. Fine, that's a bit of an exaggeration how I like to remember things, but still, it was nothing like now. Now you have to be carrying a piece. The lot today is too chicken shit to handle all matters, that old sense of all that's righteous and valiant and fair. Sort of makes me wonder just how much of a fucking idiot I have to now be to think I can go all this way to Stumpy's place without one. Michael then stopped dead in his tracks while playing around with that nasty taste in his mouth, but then smiled and thought, fuck it, just shows I got more balls, really, than if I going hiding behind one. Now, back then, Michael and his crew used to call themselves the Bloody Shamrocks, and back then they were an Irish gang of mixed races that had banded together, all forming those bonds a kid one thinks would never break. They were a happy-go-lucky bunch of thieving juvenile delinquents who couldn't avoid a day without a rumble, even if their mothers were dependent on it. The Bloody Shamrocks, that's what we called ourselves. That's what Michael still called himself. And if there was anyone left behind who could continue parading that name, it would be he. An unchecked resource of fire and spit, added with the know-how of how to really beat the ever-loving motherfucking shit out of a man had always been his bread and butter. Having that old sense about you as you pit yourself into great acts of violence and lavish in it. But do it not for all the wrong reasons, but all the righteous ones. Well, what you're really doing is testing the depths of your own beating heart and comparing its love and anguish with the likes of another. Pain begetting more pain, but not for spite, but resolution. The old sense. What the fuck do people know about that shit now? And if you could hardly imagine the level of subtlety at work, they used to call him Madboy for it. And so were the nicknames they all gave themselves, all nicknames ending with boy. There were 30 members in total, but only the key figures that started the gang were honored as such. And the key figures at the time of the gang's prime were Madboy, Rad Boy, Sad Boy, and Doll Boy. Jackie Boy, Nasty Boy, Rude Boy, and Blue Boy. White Boy, Sass Boy, finally Tomboy. Tomboy, thought Michael with a smirk. Tomboy. Who was particularly called that because the rest figured him for being a fag, while still pretending to be one of the guys. He must have been. I mean, I never saw him with any chicks, so what else could he be? But one thing he most definitely was a real tough son of a bitch who always insisted wasn't what everyone teased him to be. And also loved claiming how he was bopping lots of chicks left and right. Never letting go, even though everyone told him they didn't give a shit as long as he didn't start getting too friendly. Although, thought Michael, thinking about it now in retrospect, their suspicions couldn't have been too far off. For the last Michael had heard, Tomboy was now a lovely lady living the glamorous showgirl life as a topless dancer on Broadway. Fucking showgirl, fucking tomboy. That's funny. I could already imagine him looking very, very lovely in some skimpy costume with a 5 o'clock shadow. I wonder if he's done Cats. But still, as for the gang, there were 30 of us in total. And we were a special bunch of crazy misfits not to be messed with. 30 of us, and now there's just only me. Michael then sighed in discontent, thinking about and feeling these things. But alas, also felt like it was a righteous story to tell. For whatever they were, whatever the gang had been in its prime, none of it mattered now. But what did matter was Madboy. For he was still here, around, kicking, carrying around his colors, even when everyone else had lowered theirs. Still carrying it, for he'd be damned if he was to start slipping. Okay, I feel like I'm starting to get mopey again. I need to liven up a bit. Fucking arcades and stupid-ass kids today.